you? What are you doing? Starting Crazy Bus, the greatest song ever written. No way! That song is not going to be on my CD. Just forget it. I hope I don't get so boring when I'm old like you.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another of what is becoming something of a regular feature around these parts these days here on Elwood City Limits. It's another opportunity for us to take a look at a piece of Arthur ephemera here on the show with a very special guest. Welcome to the podcast, this ECL Extra. My name is Will Young, and with me today is somebody that, I know that you listeners have been wondering when he is going to be coming back onto the show, and it turns out that I found a great thing for us to talk about today. So, with us once again, one of our most well-received guest stars, I'll go so far as to say, Mr. Jordan Taylor. Hey, Jordan.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm doing real well, dude. It's Sunday. It's a nice-looking day out there. It's like minus 28 degrees where I am. How's it? How's things where you are?
Well, I mean, it's been, like 16 degrees Fahrenheit, but then just today it's warmed up to be in the 40s, so thank goodness.
Oh, that sounds heavenly right about now. Definitely looking forward to summer sooner rather than later. I got to ask before we get into it, I was showing a couple of your videos to my fiance recently. How's the cat doing?
Oh man, the cat is doing fine. We put out a part 2 episode, and the cat is out of the ceiling and is now warming up to us. Still scared, but downstairs in the basement area. But I can go down, and the cat, comes on my lap, and but she won't come upstairs when we're around. So I don't get it, but she is warming up to us. It's nice.
Okay, that's good. That was a harrowing story there. If you haven't seen it, check out Jordan Taylor on YouTube. He's got a great two-parter about the cat that was stuck in his wall. And I was just like, my fiance was watching that and just like, wow, where is this going? I have no idea.
Yeah, and then the cat dies in the wall.
Well,
no,
we were afraid that's where it was going, especially like at the beginning of those videos, you got such a dire look on your face. I'm like, oh no, the worst has happened.
Yes, I was very scared there for a minute.
So Jordan, I wanted to ask you to talk today about, it's not an episode of Arthur. It's not even an episode of a show that isn't Arthur. It's actually a tape/CD called Arthur and Friends, the first almost real, not live CD or tape in parentheses. I wanted to ask you, I wanted to talk to you about this because you have some experience with music yourself.
Yes, I put out an album, oh man, was that in 2015? Yeah, 2015, so I guess almost 2 years now. 2 years now, good grief, because it's 2018. Where has the time gone? But I put out an album, like a full-length CD and everything. I had never really recorded music before, other than just kind of at home, back when technology was a little more primitive and it was harder to record professional stuff on the cheap, relatively. It was a really cool experience I made a Kickstarter with my brother and got the album funded, and through Blimey Cow and my fans and everything like that, and I was very, very, very grateful. So they allowed me to go into the studio and kind of record some songs that I've written over the course of a few years, and just kind of never had the opportunity to record them professionally, which was a great experience. And so I learned a lot while I was in the studio and everything like that. So yeah, hopefully I can add to the conversation today about what is a great album by Arthur and Friends.
You also have a grasp on kind of like what makes styles of music tick, because one of my favorite videos of yours is the country song that you made from scratch.
Yeah, that video was a lot of fun to make. We actually had a friend from Canada who helped us out with that album, and with that video, and he's a genius when it comes to music. So I didn't personally write that song or anything like that. It was our friend, but he allowed us to use it in a video. I love that video, the country music song.
It's a real winner, especially like I worked in country radio for a few years, so I know.
Oh, nice.
and like everything was just like, oh, this is it to a T. But yeah, so I mean, I really don't know a lot about music, so I appreciate the viewpoint of somebody who knows more than I do in this sense. Yes, this is the very first music CD that was released for Arthur. I had this on a tape. Now, kids, an audio tape is what we used to listen to music on. I was at work this week, and I was working with this girl who I found out was 18 years old, and then I was just like, "Oh, my mom was your age when she had me," and had a minor existential crisis.
That's right.
So I realized that, like, as much as it is a joke to like you and me, like we know what audio tapes are, but I imagine for some of our younger listeners, they may not have even seen one before. So it's like, not to get too simple on it, but it's a small rectangle with tape inside of it, and that's how you used to listen to audio. Even before CDs, it was tapes and 8 tracks. And I had a Walkman, which was essentially the iPod for kids in the 1990s. It could play tapes on the go. And this particular tape, this Arthur and Friends, it was the soundtrack for many a long car ride, because I used to just listen to tapes over and over again. And even so, this is how primitive it was back then, is that if you listen to a tape too much, you would have to like physically re-spool the tapes, because the material inside of them would get all like tangled up and stuff. Like, can you imagine?
Yeah. I can't imagine. It was a different time back then, man. I think the reason I'm so happy about where we are now in our technology is that you don't have to physically rewind the tape and then like try, if you want to listen to the song again. Back then you had to push the rewind button and have it go back, and you had to stop it, try and get it at the exact spot that the song started. That was really a hassle. That was annoying.
Yeah, we definitely have it a lot better these days. Jordan, have you ever heard before this episode, did you ever encounter this CD or tape in the wild when you were younger?
No, I had never, I might have heard of it, but I didn't have it growing up. But I mean, definitely had seen the music video Arthur, episode of Arthur, and that's what some of these songs originate from. I don't know, actually, I'll ask you, did this CD tape come out before or after the music video episode of Arthur was released?
So this album was released in 1998, and this is around the same time that Arthur's Almost Real Not Live Music Festival aired. In fact, this episode that you and I are recording right now is going to be airing pretty much right after we talk about Arthur's Almost Live Not Real Music Festival. So it was around the same time. They would have recorded the music around the same time and probably produced the episode not long after that. The episode came out in December of 1998, and the tape/CD a little bit before that. I will also say there is apparently a limited edition vinyl of this album that was released in 2016. So if anybody's got a line on that vinyl, I have a record player that needs some spins.
Dude, that would be pretty sweet. That would be awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a collector's item right there. All right, so we've got ourselves the album to look forward to. We had to kind of it was kind of a ramshackle way of getting to the album.
Yeah.
I had to make a playlist and send it to you, and then there was a video that had like half of it and this sort of thing. So I would definitely encourage you, if you like what you hear, you can, purchase this from Amazon or eBay or anything like that. It's definitely a lot easier than trying to find it as piecemeal as Jordan and I did.
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah, I was listening to the album, and then it just cut off midway, and I was like, wait, what the heck? And then the person on YouTube had at the end said the tape snapped in half or something like that. I was like, what?
Oh, that's another thing. Can you imagine, like, snapping your music in half? These things were pretty fragile when you think about it.
Yeah, exactly. It made me laugh.
So we're going to go track by track and give our thoughts on each one. And I mean, how could you start Arthur's first album with anything but the theme song of the show by Ziggy Marley and the Melody Makers. Believe in yourself, parentheses, a wonderful kind of day.
And I say, hey, what a wonderful kind of day. If you could learn to work and play and get along with each other. You got to listen to your heart. Listen.
I mean, this is it's a great song. It's it's kind of, at this point, it's the background music of my life because I hear it so much. But it's hard for me to hear it as anything else but the Arthur song. It's not it's not even really a song. It's just kind of a theme.
So was this song just used by Arthur just by happenstance? Like they thought, oh, this would be a good song, or did the band write it for Arthur?
Now that's a good question. I'm not 100% certain on that. I feel like it might be
because there's no references to Arthur in the song. It's just kind of like, more of a broad stroke of kind of like what the show is about. So I didn't know. I've always wondered that.
Yeah, me too. And to be completely honest, I can't give you a positive answer on that or not. But it does kind of remind me of, like, you watch an anime or something and they use like a licensed song. I don't know. It could be one, it could be the other. It's just very general enough. But I think I want to say the fact that it's on, a music release that they were able to make money from. I imagine that it would probably be easier to just commission a song and then have the rights to it. Although it's kind of up in the air. If anybody listening knows the definitive answer to this, please let us know at the normal social media and email channels. I'd actually really like to know.
Yeah.
I will say that the song itself, while it is good, it kind of starts to feel like a loop after the first minute. Like,
yeah.
Maybe this is credence to the fact that it was made for Arthur, but like after the first minute, it kind of doesn't have anything else to say. It just kind of repeats what it already did. And
you have to listen to your heart. Yeah, over and over and over.
Yeah,
again.
it's so maybe that's kind of like all they had, and they just kind of dressed it up in different ways. But so maybe that's an argument for it being for the show. I don't know. It's not exactly a standalone song, but it is very pleasant to listen to, and of course, it gives you the nostalgia feels, which is exactly what you want when you're starting this off.
And it was interesting, like, listening to the entirety of the song instead of just, like, the, snippet of the intro. But to hear the beginning of the song with just kind of, like, the music, like, kind of ramping up, for when the actual song begins, like, that they used that part, like, the intro of the song as the outro to Arthur, because they just kind of play the musical rendition of the song, like, during the credits of Arthur or whatever. I just thought it was interesting that was at the beginning of the song. I guess I always assumed, that was at the end of the song, but it was at the beginning.
Well, yeah, good way to start it all off, and then we keep it going strong, man. And this has got to be, this I feel like is one of the most well-remembered things about people who only barely remember Arthur. The second song on the album is "Library Card," which you've no doubt heard from the episode. You've probably seen the music video from the episode of Arthur, because is there any more immortal line in all of Arthur history than "having fun isn't hard when you've got a library card"?
Having fun isn't hard when you've got a library card. Having fun isn't hard when you've got a library card.
No, I that might be the most best quoted line of Arthur, period. You're right. For just people who barely remember Arthur, they will remember that line if you say it. They're like, "Oh yeah, classic,"
It's an earworm. It's easy to remember, and the one that always went around my elementary school was, "Having fun isn't hard when you've got your parents' Visa card."
Yeah, that line works too. They could have, maybe a remix of the song. They could insert that line.
Oh, dude! I mean, the fact that there weren't like dozens of body remixes of this on like Kazaa and LimeWire back in the day. Like if it had come out a couple of years later, this would have been all over file sharing sites. Hey kids, speaking of which, that's how we used to get our music, not just from tapes, but from Kazaa and LimeWire and all these other shady file sharing services. Did you ever use one of those?
I think my brother did at some point. I wasn't as tech savvy as he was when we were younger. He was kind of like the mastermind behind everything.
Gotcha. Yeah, my older sister introduced me to that too. We had Bear Share was our first one, and then kind of graduated to LimeWire, which was quote unquote the best, but like just dozens and dozens of filthy remixes of children's themed songs, and usually misattributed to Weird Al. That's like one of the running jokes of that whole thing. Anyway, this song is pretty cool. It's got like a nice little electric guitar line that kind of is pretty steady throughout the whole thing. And as has been said before, Arthur is all about pushing the public library agenda, and this is no different. One of the lines that kind of stuck out to me, all the thoughts and dreams of people throughout history, and all you need is this little card to borrow them for free. Which may be a little quaint because nowadays you can just go online and download all the thoughts and dreams of people, and it's from the most mundane to the most important.
Yeah, I thought it would be funny. I mean, going back to like the remix renditions of the song, I don't know if anybody's done this, but I was telling my wife Sarah, I was like, after I had re-listened to this, I was like, it's funny how this song, it still holds up like to this day, but it just seems old because I mean we have iPhones now, we have smartphones and everything. It's like if somebody did a funny rendition of this song like in the modern times, like technological era that we're in, I just think that would be really, really funny. Like you're just changing all the lyrics to stuff that kids know today and stuff. I just thought it'd be really funny. Yeah, and it definitely it doesn't have much of an appeal outside of kids. Like, so it's talking about all the stuff that you can find in a library, like all of the stuff that you can look up, all the books you can read, all the subjects and everything. There's a line from Francine here, puppet shows and movies, the cool things never end. And it's like, okay, movies, yes. To be like kids, a public library is a great place to get CDs and movies for free. Like it's now that rental chains are going out of business, the library is your next best bet. Puppet shows, I want to say, are only cool if you're under 5 years old. I hope, unless we're talking like Avenue Q or something. Yeah, I mean, these kids are like 8 years old and stuff. So I agree. It seems like they're getting a little too old for the puppet shows. But Francine likes what she likes. I mean, you can't really argue with her, I guess.
Sure. I mean, hey, that's where our Muppeteers come from. Is that
right.
the cool things never end for them. And don't forget, the Dewey Decimal System is your friend. we get this kind of running joke near the end of the song where DW is trying to figure out who's Dewey. And I remember that confused me as a kid because, like, I was kind of aware of what the Dewey Decimal System was, but I was like, who is Dewey?
Yeah, who is Dewey? Yeah, she's right. Who is Dewey?
Like, I remember there was a line in a previous Arthur episode about how Muffy thought that Thomas Edison invented the Dewey Decimal System, and Mr. Rapper was like, no, that was Dewey. So I admit to ignorance on the Dewey Decimal System. In fact, speaking of ignorance, I'm not even sure if libraries still use the Dewey Decimal System.
Yeah, I was wondering that as well. I was going to ask you. I mean, I don't think they do. I mean, I remember going to the library and like having to pull out the cards and like look through the inventory. I don't think that they have that anymore. I mean, it's been a while since I've really scavenged through a library. But last time I went, I don't remember seeing a filing cabinet or anything like that there.
I appreciate that you're coming to me with all these questions, these sagely questions. And, like, I'm sorry to disappoint you that I really don't know as much as maybe I seem to put forth. It seems that the Dewey Decimal System, as Wikipedia is telling me right now, is still available. The classification system is used in 200,000 libraries in at least 135 countries.
Okay, so then it's just I guess my version of what I think is the Dewey Decimal System is pulling out index cards and looking through, but I guess it's probably advanced further than that. Yeah, they probably have more of a technological way of doing that these days.
Yeah, the card catalog and all that. I've never looked for a card catalog, but now next time I go to my local library, which is not unoften. That's not a word, but I will actively look for a Dewey Decimal System or even just a card catalog, and you should too, kids. So we got off to a hot start with the theme song to Arthur and library card, and then, in my opinion at least, we kind of put the brakes on a little bit with the third song, Arthur versus the Piano.
It's me against the piano. Why do I have to practice? I'd rather play the radio. I'd rather sit on cactus. It's me versus the piano. I hope it doesn't trouble you. I'd rather go play baseball. I'd rather play with DW. Practicing is just the same thing over and over and over and over. Practicing is just the same thing over and over and over and over.
Oh yeah, I listened to this song multiple times. I mean, like, let's be honest, I put this on repeat over and over again, like this album, or at least the first half of the album, because that was what I had before the person's tape snapped, and that was the most easily accessible. And this song, I'll admit, was not my favorite at first. I was like, okay, so, you know, he's playing, basically Arthur's playing the piano, and he's being forced to practice, I guess, by his parents or whoever, it doesn't really say. And he doesn't like to practice the piano, so it's kind of like this battle between him and the piano, and at the end he really finds out that he enjoys coming up with new stuff on the piano by like happenstance. Like he accidentally plays a wrong chord, and it turns out to be something that he actually thinks sounds cool, and so then he starts to really enjoy playing. And I kind of like, once I re-listened to the song a lot, I started to not dislike it as much as I did at the start, but it's definitely not my favorite song on the CD. But I do like that there's kind of like that, you know, that lesson of, because I mean, when I would play music, like practicing one of my songs for my CD that I was making, like I really, at some point when you play the same thing over and over and over again, like Arthur was doing, like practicing, you start to just absolutely hate everything that you're writing. And then sometimes you'll just accidentally mess up, and then it's like, oh wait, that could be something. And then like, so I, like when I was listening to Arthur get excited after he messed up, I was like, oh, I've done that many times. And so that felt true to me. And that's kind of what was saving the song for me, I guess, was that I related to it in some way.
Okay, and I mean, I do kind of understand that part. I thought it was funny, like, how much it seems Arthur really doesn't like the piano, but it's more of just, like, practice for a kid practice as an adult is a really hard sell. So definitely touching on things that are easy to relate to. I don't know, it's just, compared to the two songs that we've had before, I just found this one not wholly pleasant to listen to, like to casually listen to. And I want to say, like, I don't want to be too harsh on, you know, the singers or the musicians here, the voice actors doing their own songs. I must say that's pretty impressive. And hey, they're recorded artists and I'm not, so there's only so much that I can say. But this is also one of the first songs where they interpolate like classical music or like well-known pieces. So, like, there's a part where Arthur plays chopsticks and does lyrics to that. I felt at some points the lyrics felt like they were a little bit overwritten might be the word, of just, like, having, like, taking chopsticks and trying to write lyrics to it would be a little clumsy, because I feel like chopsticks is the kind of thing where it's just meant to exist as music. You don't really need lyrics to it.
Yeah, I mean, and the lyrics are just like, practicing is just the same thing over and over and over and over. Like, he says that 100,000 times in the song. So it gets a little old. Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything that you're saying.
The lyrics also get a little strange. There's a part where Arthur goes through all the scales, which was actually a good reminder. I haven't thought about music scales in a long time. As tangential as you please, such as dough, as in dough, it's uncooked bread. I'm like, okay. And then the weirdest one is right after that. Ray, like in Ray Gun, that turns you to a nerd. Like,
that didn't make much sense.
I guess they couldn't get too violent with it, but I'm like, come on, man. I'm 8 years old. I know what a ray gun does, and it doesn't turn you to a nerd. It, like, blasts a hole in your chest.
I didn't know if he was, like, referring to something in the show that happened.
I really don't think so.
Yeah, it was just too bizarre. I thought surely there was something behind the lyric, but I don't think that there was.
No, and I was just kind of looking there puzzled of just like, turns you to a nerd. I guess that was the best thing that kind of had that specific amount of syllables or something. Yeah, so it kind of goes on like that. I will say that the ending of Arthur kind of turning his practice into like an impromptu jazz piano number was actually kind of cool, and then Arthur kind of starts like scatting over the jazz piano. He's like, woohoo! So I thought that was kind of awkward, but in a fun way.
Yeah, and it was kind of weird at the same time because Arthur doesn't really ever do anything like that in the show. So to hear the voice actor's voice do that, like, oh yeah, this is cool. Like it didn't really feel like Arthur. So I was like, it kind of felt like the voice actor more coming through than Arthur, just because I've never heard Arthur like have those expressions, I guess, on the show. So it was just, anyways, just something I noticed.
Well, not the best one, but then we keep on going to a Buster song, the UFO song.
I'm sure there are UFOs out there somewhere. I'd like to ride in one. I'd never be scared. If a spaceship touched down in my yard, I would run right towards it, yelling greetings. Let's go have some fun. Let's have some fun. Let's have some fun. Let's go have some fun.
Yes.
Speaking of our experiences with country music, this sounds a lot like a country song.
Yeah. I mean, again, this isn't my favorite song on the album. I have a couple songs that I wrote down that I said not my favorite, and this was one of them. I mean, it's a song about Buster and UFOs. I mean, like it's a, you know, when I think of like really, really classic Arthur songs, you know, you're thinking of the Library Song, Jekyll Hyde, stuff like that. So just not ever hearing this song, it just sounded like one of those songs that I just kind of listened to and then got to the next song. But I wanted to know what you thought about it. I
kind of liked it. I thought that the country vibe actually really worked pretty well in distinguishing it. Like this whole album, dips into different genres here and there, which is good. It helps to kind of make everything pop a lot more. And I also really like, so Buster's voice actor is Daniel Brochu, and I think that he's got a very pleasant singing voice to listen to. He kind of alternates between speaking as Buster and singing as Buster, which again is a very difficult thing to do, to sing as your voice, as the voice that you're doing. And I'll get to that a little bit later with somebody else. I thought it was kind of fun. Again, it's not maybe something I'd listen to casually. I do wonder. Buster says near the end of the song, it's all about what he would do if aliens came here. Like he would set up some lawn chairs and a table of snacks so that they can relax. Maybe they take him home to their school and use him as show and tell. And at the end, he says, in the meantime, maybe I'll study rocketry. And I'm like, okay, well, Buster is not the best student by any metric. So I wonder if he ever really shaped up and studied rocketry.
Yeah, you know what? Buster is a surprising character, so he might have mustered the courage to do better in school, so he could really, try and hunt down the aliens. That would be an interesting, dude. This is an aside, but I kind of wish that they would make, another the college years of Arthur or the teen years or something like that. But at the same time, I kind of don't want them to, because I don't want them to mess it up. But man, I just think in my head, where would the characters be? Maybe that's what Buster's doing.
That's a great point. I think that's something that I feel like a lot of people would like to see, especially with the advent of that Arthur Riverdale style video that was that was popular a couple of months ago. I feel like there would be an audience for that, of just seeing what everybody got up to. I mean, that's the case with every show that ends. You just want to know what happened after Happily Ever After. Although, to be fair, Arthur isn't over. It's still going strong. So we may have to wait a little bit for that. But maybe in 20 years or so, we'll find out what the middle-aged Arthur crew is up to, and maybe Buster did indeed master rocketry. So the next one is a Francine song, Meek for a Week. And there are several songs on here that, if you've seen the episode, then it's just the episode in song form, which it's not a value judgment. It's not good. It's not bad. It's just kind of like, well, it's just a different take on the episode. And
Right.
this one I don't really recall being terribly memorable, although it does start very well. And again, Francine's voice actor has a great, really strong voice, and later on in the series, we haven't gotten to it yet, but Francine shows that she can sing very well, and that's, of course, due in complete part to her voice actor, who is very good. Starts it off with the excellent line, "Why shouldn't I say that I am great when it's only true?"
My friends say I'm impatient and rude, so I bet them I could change my attitude. I can be meek for a week, meek for a week, meek for a week, meek for a week. It's a bet I know I can win. Tomorrow it will begin.
Yeah, it pretty much encapsulates her character. This song, yeah, I agree. It's just kind of a recap of man, what is that episode called?
It's
Literally
Meek
just
for
called Meek for a
Meek
Week.
for a Week.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it was, a recap of it's like the Wikipedia article of that episode, but I don't know. I mean, it had some funny lines in it and stuff, but yeah, I mean, it's a recap of the episode.
I think if Francine's voice actor wasn't as strong as she is, then I would probably feel a bit more negative towards it. But but because she is, I'm kind of like, all right, well, it's just kind of in the middle for me.
Yeah, she really is a great singer as well as a voice actor.
Okay, so next one is, again, one of the iconic songs of this entire album and of Arthur's time. I feel like Library Card, I think, is the one where, like, even people who weren't big fans of Arthur, they will know this. Now, the kids who did watch Arthur when they were younger, they will most likely know Jekyll and Hyde, because it's an earworm of the highest degree. It's a story about how the brain reads Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Then he has a series of nightmares about how he becomes essentially that character. And the chorus going, Jekyll, Jekyll, Hyde, Jekyll, Hyde, Hyde, Jekyll, 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 Hyde, Jekyll, Hyde. I mean, as soon as you hear it once, it's like, and they repeat it enough times where it just gets into your brain.
'Cause I was Jekyll, Jekyll, Hyde, Jekyll, Hyde, Hyde, Jekyll, 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 Hyde, Jekyll, Hyde, Jekyll, Jekyll, Hyde, Jekyll, Hyde, Hyde, Jekyll, 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 Hyde, Jekyll, Hyde.
Yeah, I've been singing this song nonstop for the past week now, ever since you sent me the album. And me and Sarah she has been singing this song over and over again. She's like, man, that's such a great song. It really is.
And I mean, it's got a cool story to it. Honestly, there's, with the songs that are essentially episodes that have already been done, I'd kind of like to see this as an episode. It does make it into... It does make it into the music episode as its own music video, but just if you flesh this out to 11 minutes to its own story, I'd be into it.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, it's almost like an episode of Arthur in and of itself, just a really, really short one in music form. But yeah, that's interesting. That would be like maybe if they made an Arthur book about the Jekyll and Hyde episode. That would be interesting.
You could do that too, and I mean, there's a lot of striking visuals that you can take advantage of, because it's like Brain is essentially, when he becomes his Mr. Hyde persona, his skin turns green. He's got this stringy, patchy hair. He's got one wild eye and one kind of closed one. It's a great character look. Plus, he's got the whole Jack the Ripper top hat and coat. So it's immediately recognizable to go along with this song, which I'd say has a bit more bite since it has the underlying kind of electric guitar. It's a little bit, I guess meaner would be the word, but it's as mean as Arthur gets. I always get a kick out of the Brain's second dream where he becomes Mr. Hyde in the classroom. It's a very good use of dream logic in a television show. That's it's nonsensical as you please. I had a dream last night where I had to go to work, and then somebody made me essentially be behind a counter, which is not what I have to do at work. Anyway, the point is that like this doesn't make any sense. And I woke up, I'm like, oh, that's why it doesn't make sense. And so brains is that they had to do this test in school. They had to give the answers in semaphore, and for extra credit, grow a beard. Semaphore is like the I believe it's a naval kind of sign language for like using flags to move different states and stuff. But like, what kid is gonna pick up on like this is how I learned what semaphore was. If you want to hear Lucas's thoughts on this song, check out the episode that we did recently on Arthur's Almost Live Not Real Music Festival. We keep going forward again to another episode in song form with My Dog Pal.
My dog pal is better than all the rest. His doggy face makes any place the absolute best. Like dogs of a feather, we belong together. Boring.
So much like the episode where Arthur was talking about when he got Pal, and everybody kind of kept putting their 2 cents in of like, it should be this kind of story. No, it should be this kind of story. This time it should be this kind of song. It should be this kind of song. And it allows them to use more classical music. And so if you're really eagle-eared, then you can hear which famous compositions that they're using here. I'm really bad at placing those, so I couldn't necessarily tell you by name, but I definitely recognized a few of them.
Yeah, I actually liked this song a lot. It was good. It was like different than like the Francine song where she was just basically recapping the entire episode of her trying to be meek for a week. This song it kind of, it's about Arthur getting Pal in some way, but so it kind of recaps that Arthur episode, which I'm not exactly sure what that episode is called now. I can't recall. Shoot.
Yeah, I'm blanking on it too. I just remembered as the one where I think it's Arthur Writes a Story.
Is that what it's called?
I think so.
Arthur's Pet, or is it called Arthur's Pet? Anyways, it doesn't really matter. Anyways, it's just kind of
Arthur's Pet Business is when he first got Pal and is like
that's right,
the story, but then there's another episode about him retelling that story.
Oh, that's right.
And
I'm talking about the one you just said, Arthur's Pet Company.
Pet Business.
Pet Business. Yeah. That, I mean, because that's when he originally gets Pal and everything, right?
That's right. At the end of the episode, he gets to keep one of the puppies.
That's right. Yeah, so it was just kind of like this song was kind of him trying to make that story a little more interesting as he was getting input from DW, who was like, maybe you need to add an elephant into the song because people really like elephants and stuff like that. And so Arthur adds elephants, and then Buster comes in and he's like, no, that's not, you should tell the story how it was. And it's just, I thought it was a pretty funny song. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, and you get to hear Arthur's voice actor, like, he puts on, like, a real exaggerated twang when he does, like, the country song near the end of it, and that's something to hear.
Which that was in, I thought it was funny because that song, that part of the song was in that episode.
They eventually did make it into a country song, like he had distilled it to the point where it just was nothing like what he was trying to do.
Yeah.
Even his original song that he's trying to write is on a bit of shaky ground itself. One of the lines is, like dogs of a feather, we belong together.
I like how his voice at times, in the voice actor's voice, sometimes it seems like it's kind of like he's hitting notes that are a little hard for him when he's going a little higher. We belong together. Like it seemed like he was kind of getting.
It is unbearably sincere at times. But it fits the character perfectly. He loves that little dog Pal, and I did appreciate that at the end of the song, everybody's like, well, why didn't you just do that one in the first place? And it's like, play it again. We want to hear it again. And then Arthur's like, if you want to hear it again, turn the track over. I'm tired.
Yeah, I thought that was a clever ending.
The next one is, so Lucas and I, at the time of this recording, are getting ready very soon to talk about the episode where this song is featured. The official title is, and I really apologize to anybody who is Finnish, Matali ja Musti, a.k.a. The Binky Song by Vartina. And I probably butchered that because there's a couple of umlauts in there that I didn't take into account. Anyway, it is the song of the group Binky, except in the episode, all we hear is wee 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 wee, and you might be surprised to learn that it is an actual song with like lyrics, and more than that, it's actually kind of a jam. I was getting into this.
Yeah, no, it's a great song. I didn't realize that I thought that I didn't know if maybe Arthur, like the people they just made this song, but it's kind of making me seem like did somebody else write this song and they just used it for the episode? Again, I'm asking you a question you might not know, but
I actually looked this up, so I do know the answer. So it's Vartina is a Finnish folk group. This is from their 4th album, and the album was released in 1992, and the Binky episode didn't air until 1998. So something about this song, I guess, spurred them on to use it to represent Binky, the pop group. So I don't know what it was, but
yeah.
it seems like such a random choice, but also it works because it's incredibly memorable.
Yeah, I wonder what, how would they have come across that song? I wonder if it was like very popular back then in like 92 for them to have like heard it and been like, oh, we can base an episode around that. It just seems really bizarre. But maybe at the same time it kind of worked out because them saying a wee kind of has some context, in this part of the world. So, even if it's, I don't know if maybe they're saying something, maybe that means something in a different language, but it definitely saying we means something over here. So maybe they just kind of heard it and was like, hey, this is a nice little tune. Let's do something with it.
Well, it's kind of like how, it might be kind of like how there's that, I'll just say that European song that became the meme,
oh yeah.
Like that has actual lyrics in it, but all everybody remembers is the part of the song where it sounds like he's shaking his face back and forth. So in a weird way, it's almost like Arthur itself created an in-universe meme or something.
Yeah,
but I like it. It actually really stands on its own as a song, and I would actually like to hear more from this band.
Yeah, that'd be really interesting to go and like listen to that album that they put out with that song. That'd be funny. I should definitely go and do that.
The next one we get. So earlier I was I've been talking about how the voice actors of Arthur, very talented as we know. It takes a special talent to be able to not just sing, but sing in the voice of your character. So this next one is called My Nightlight, and it's a Binky song, and I really have to give props to Binky's voice actor for singing a whole song in this character voice, because it's not really... I wrote down here that Binky's vocals kind of remind me of a 90s grunge band. It's very much like Binky the character can't sing, so this is trying to replicate him not being able to sing professionally. It's kind of hard to explain unless you hear it.
My nightlight stuck in my wall socket protects me from dangers that slither up the stairs. They do. Without it, everything in my room's creepy. Like that big goon face that's really my pants thrown over a chair.
Yeah, this song, he gets very, very passionate about this nightlight in this song. It was very inspiring, actually. At the end, he's just like, the nightlights, just like saying it so loud, like he's so happy and passionate about his nightlights, and everybody around him, like all of the Arthur characters are like singing in unison about the nightlight and everything. So they're really backing Binky, so to not feel ashamed about his nightlight that he uses.
Yeah, like when I started listening to this song, I was like, okay, some of these lyrics are funny. It's Again, we had the episode about Binky and his nightlight. I'm like, all right, this is pretty cool. But by the end of it, man, it gets really epic. You kind of mentioned it already, but it's like you get this backing chorus of people who still use nightlights, and they're just like, thanks to our nightlights. And Binky's like, thanks to our nightlights. It's kind of great. Like I know. At the end of it, I ended up feeling
inspired,
super pumped. Yeah. So I've got to give them props for that. Again, some really funny lyrics in here too, of just like Binky saying, "I've slept with ice cream, and it melts to mush by dawn."
By dawn.
Yeah, and I can tell that the voice actor is a very good singer, and I hate to try and explain this again. It's just I kept getting the. If you've ever heard like a Nirvana song or something like that about like how Kurt Cobain is not a great singer, but he just is able to write these songs where he's able to push his vocal range to the limit, and you can kind of there's something endearing about the fact that it's not a professionally trained voice, but at the same time it's kind of reaching the heights in a different way. I don't know. It's really hard for me to talk about music. So if anybody else kind of gets this comparison, all you got to do is change the instruments, and this would be like a total Nevermind B-side from Binky.
Yeah, exactly.
I dug the song a lot, and in fact, we actually get this is kind of the middle of the album is actually where we get a couple of like sleeper good ones. The next one I also kind of dug is "Go to Sleep," which is a DW song.
Very, very aggressive DW song. She really wants her little baby Kate to go to sleep. Go to sleep. Just says over and over and over.
It's got that sweet riff of just like meow. Again, some really great guitar work in this whole album, and this one is that riff is just like count a sheep, meow. Don't make a peep, meow. It's very memorable. So she's trying to find the best song to lull baby Kate to sleep, and of course, you think. The whole thing for the song is that she's basically just yelling at her, but it turns out that type of song actually made Kate go to sleep. So I guess Kate is really into like 80s hair metal.
Yeah, that was the only logical conclusion about this song, for sure.
Kate is one of the more metal babies that you come across. There's also a really funny bit at the end of this song where it's a little skit where like mom comes in and is just like I want baby Kate to sleep, and DW's like, I got her to sleep, thanks guys. And then the band that was presumably playing the song like pack up their instruments from DW's room and just like, good night DW, Mrs. R, see you tomorrow same time, peace. And then just kind of I don't know, I just thought it was a funny way of acknowledging the fact that it's like, yeah, there's other musicians here besides the singers.
Yeah no, it's a really, really clever song.
We take a little dip into ASMRville with this quick little song here. It's Brain's Thinking Tune.
Yes. I don't really know what to say about this. It's the brain thinking. That's the song.
It literally is. I think it's it's like 30 seconds long, if that, and it's brain just going and like somebody playing a didgeridoo in the background.
Yeah,
like it's the vocal equivalent of those old what do you call them? Those old like color backgrounds that you'd put up on Windows Media Player. Of just like shapes and colors.
Yeah.
So it's real trippy. Like if you were in an altered state of mind, it might do something for you. Or again, if you're really into ASMR, this might scratch an itch.
I didn't know if this song, if you remember the episode where the brain, like, do you remember that it was kind of funny, weird, but like the brain had like his intro to Arthur, like as if he was the main character. And if you remember at the end, he was like, basically the song is just about how he likes to think, and so at the end he's like, and that's the end of the intro. I thought maybe they were like referring, like that was the idea for this song, was him just thinking at the end of that one, because that was like part of that song. I don't know.
No, you're right. We actually just in our real world timeline right here, Lucas and I just recorded that episode. It's like it's a parody on the Arthur opening where Brain kind of stops and thinks. So I went there as well because that was fresh in my mind. That's a good memory. The good memory though, and just kind of the joke that Brain likes to just think about think about stuff and things.
Yes.
The next one we get is an actual song, and it's another one that is it's just the episode again, but going into a bit of a different genre than you might expect. It's Arthur's Lucky Pencil in kind of a reggae style.
I found a lucky pencil and it's gonna be so lucky for me. Can we use it?
No, 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 no.
Can we use it?
No, no, no.
Can we use it?
No, 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 no.
Why?
The lucky pencil is mine.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I enjoy that they kind of it seems like somehow that genre just kind of does well with Arthur. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah. Like, I mean, Ziggy Marley and the Melody Makers are. I don't know. I actually haven't listened to any of their stuff, but Ziggy Marley, comes from the reggae roots of Bob Marley and co. And it is funny how like that kind of. You're right. That audio aesthetic kind of ends up working with,
and
with
you wouldn't
Arthur.
expect it. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess it's because Arthur is generally a pretty chill show, and reggae is a pretty chill genre to listen to.
Yeah.
So it gives this song, which could be a little bit by the numbers. Oh, it's the same song about Arthur's Lucky Pencil that the show did, but it's done in a style that makes you kind of remember it. I'd love to hear. I'd love to hear Rihanna do a cover of this. I feel like she could do something that really snaps.
Yes, I think that's a good ask. Maybe you could tweet her and see what she thinks about it.
Ooh, okay. I'll put that on my to-do list for the week this comes out. So yeah, very very nice and chill to listen to. It reminds me that I don't actually listen to a lot of reggae these days, and maybe I ought to dip my toe back into those waters.
Yeah. No, I mean, if it works for Arthur, it can work for you too.
The next one, I will admit, is probably my favorite song on the album. It's Homework, sung by mainly Mr. Ratburn.
Just a little homework tonight. 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 Yeah.
Dude, I wrote down that this is pretty much my favorite song on the album too. This like in that music video episode, for some reason, like even though this wasn't the most peppy song on in that episode, like for some reason it always got stuck in my head almost more than the Jekyll Jekyll Hyde song. Like I found myself this week just singing this song to it was kind of funny, at the beginning he's like, "Class, you've really worked hard today," and anytime I would sing that, my wife Sarah would say, "You could say that again," and I'd say, okay class. we kind of had this joke going on. I would sing that 24/7 and she would join in with me. So
I did find myself, now that you mention it, humming this week, just a little homework tonight. So this is Mr. Ratburn's song, and again, a different genre. This time it's a cappella, because the background almost sounds like an episode of Disney's Doug. It's just like, boom, bada, ooh. It's instantly memorable. So this one isn't necessarily something that you'll get, but so when I was younger, in elementary school, we had to start off the day by, like, our office would play "O Canada," our national anthem, over the speakers, and sometimes on Friday, so we would have like a pretty normal version from Monday to Thursday, but then like Friday, every once in a while, they would put on an a cappella rendition of "O Canada," and this reminded me. It just brought me back to that part of my childhood of like, oh yeah, that was the best when we would get to listen to the a cappella one. It just reminded me of this. I just find a cappella as instrument to be very endearing in a way. There's a great part in here. So I think this is a great song. I love the lyrics. I love Mr. Ratburn's voice actor. I think he's a great singer. And there's a part after the first chorus where it's like just a little homework tonight, and then one of the acapella yeah, one of the acapella guys goes, yeah. It's my favorite part of the whole song. But
I like it when Buster, they have several of those instances where somebody just kind of adds a little to their voice to the song. But I think it's Buster who's like, why. It sounds like Buster's voice actor. I don't know if it is or not. I just always assumed that it was.
yeah, because the whole dialogue is kind of between Ratburn and Buster. And at the end, it's like, Buster, pay attention. And like you said, I think I'm gonna die. It adds something. It again makes it more memorable. It's just real fun and just puts a smile on your face. At least it did for me.
Yeah, I love that song.
Even though it is about like the most ungodly amount of homework I've ever heard of. I didn't get that kind of homework in high school. This is third grade. The next one I don't really have much to say about. It's Poetry Club. And essentially, so there was the episode in season 1 of they all had to join the Poetry Club. And it's the same poems from that episode, just kind of reworked a little bit. There's like somebody playing a bongo to all of them, a bongo drum. And it's the same poems. They just kind of perform them again.
Yeah, and then there's like a ending where DW comes up and tries to secretly disguise the Crazy Bus lyrics as her poem, and Arthur catches on very quickly, and he's like, "Wait, what?" And then he I guess it was some what is the Crazy Bus lyric that she
wacky gooey goofy spoony absolutely bussalooey.
Yeah, but it was bussalooey that one really cued to Arthur that this wasn't a song that a poem that DW herself wrote, because bussalooey is not a word he knows for a fact.
Yeah, we should mention there's a couple of skits throughout the album where DW is trying to get Crazy Bus played on the album, but then Arthur quickly stops her. They're just kind of funny, happen for a couple of seconds, and it leads up to the end of the album, which we're going to get to in just a couple of songs here. This next one, of course, is one that was the basis of an entire episode, but it is nice to get it as its own thing. The Ballad of Buster Baxter, as performed by everybody's favorite moose, Art Garfunkel.
This is the story about the face on the cake. It belongs to Buster Baxter. Baby boy, Bunny Buster Baxter was born 8 years ago. At first all he did was cry and eat and eat and eat and grow, eat and grow. That's all he did.
Yeah, man, one of my favorite songs, probably my second favorite on just in Arthur period. I love this song. I love how they did it with that. Not that we're really talking about this, but I love how they incorporated that song with that episode. Just the entirety of that episode just kind of gave that episode more of sentimental value. And everything. I just thought it was really clever.
Makes it a lot more memorable too. This one is essentially the extended version of the song, where there's a couple of extra lines, some background vocals have been added in, and it's super chill. It's like, I love the kind of, I wouldn't say it's like lazily strumming, but it's just such a laid back melody that Art Garfunkel's playing on the guitar, and I could just picture myself putting headphones on and just kind of listening to that same melody over and over to just calm myself down.
Yeah. I mean, growing up, I always really, really loved acoustic guitar, and that's what I play. Just kind of taught myself, and and thinking back now, it's funny how stuff I never played acoustic when I was a kid or anything. That was later on, but it's funny how songs that I'm realizing now were my favorite songs, like the Ballad of Buster Baxter, really stuck out to me as a kid. And now I'm realizing, I just really liked acoustic guitar music, and that is an acoustic guitar song. So yeah, just listening back to it, it was kind of like, man, I bet this song kind of influenced my decision to try and learn how to play. I should actually learn how to play that song on acoustic. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to see if anybody has put tabs up for that after we finish this.
I was going to ask you if you knew how to play that song. I would love to hear the Jordan Taylor version of the Ballad of Buster Baxter.
Dude, I need to do my own version of that song. That would be great to just put out randomly.
I know you've got a busy schedule, but if you ever do that, please let me know. I will be all over that download for sure.
Oh man, yeah, I'll try and do that. We'll see what I can do.
And fans of Jordan Taylor out there, hold him to that. Don't harass him or anything, but just every once in a while, just be like, "Hey, Jordan, how's the Ballad of Buster Baxter going? You still in the lab cooking that one up?"
I actually wouldn't mind that reminder. That would give me a little bit more motivation to really complete it.
I'll drop one in maybe halfway through the year. See how you're going with that. We're nearly to the end of the album here. This one is another one that was featured on the music episode Leftovers Goulash, which is an Arthur, DW, and Dad Reed song about Dad's weird dishes that he's cooked.
There are so many things to make. A custard soup, a liver cake, a curry pie with prunes and squash. How about some leftovers goulash? Hey!
It's such a stressful song. Like, I can feel my heart rate go as I'm listening to it.
Stressful in like the music, or just in terms of the?
No, just it's just like and just like the whole situation and the music video behind it is, it's just a situations going on that are like, oh man, they're really getting in trouble.
This is another one where they're definitely using classical music. Like I wish I could identify them, but like and all those kinds of things. So but they're like you said, they're much more kind of up-tempo classical music. So the song really moves, and there's a lot to talk about in terms of like the type of food that Dad makes. I also noticed in this song that you can hear DW's voice actor, her first voice actor, getting older. Like we're into the third season now, maybe even going on to the fourth season, and he's starting to sound less like DW and more like a young man.
Yeah, no, it's funny you bring that up, because I told my wife Sarah that I not about this one, but the Go to Sleep song. I was like I'm pretty sure that DW's voice actor is a boy. And so, because like when she's saying "go to sleep," it just kind of sounded like a boy, and that was the first time I'd ever really that had ever been broken for me, So I looked it up, and sure enough, it was a boy who was singing. I was like, that's funny. So that's kind of funny that you brought that up.
And of course, we'd be remiss if we didn't mention some of the dishes that Dad is making: a jellied fish inside a beet, chocolate eels, like a rhubarb roast. The one that I wrote down is there's a real big ramp up at the end of the song where he's just saying stuff of just like, take a pot and add a lot of da 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 da, and then one of the throwaway lines is, some brains and feet can't wait to eat. No matter whether it's human or if it's animal or what, don't eat brains. I don't think that there's not a good way you could cook brains. There's just like stuff in brains that you just shouldn't eat.
Yeah, I don't know. Mr. Reed he's pretty talented with cooking, as so I hear, but I mean, I wouldn't trust that. No.
This is like Wolfgang Puck plus levels of like genius cookery. So
yeah.
I don't understand how he doesn't have his own show, Mr. Reed, but it's definitely it gets a little gross here with all of the food stuff, but I always enjoy them kind of finding new stuff, like new crazy food that doesn't exist for Mr. Reed to try. I think that's always a fun way to see how the writers kind of stretch their imaginations.
Yeah, exactly.
And of course, we couldn't end off any kind of Arthur album made this early into the show's run without the infamous Crazy Bus.
That's right.
So it's essentially the full version of the Crazy Bus song. We've heard it enough in the TV show that you pretty much know exactly how it sounds like. I am very impressed with how the writers of the show were able to so effectively recreate an annoying kid's song.
Crazy bus, riding on a crazy bus, riding up, riding down, driven by a funny clown, wacky, goony, goofy, spoony, high as a plane or baloney. Crazy bus, come with us as we ride. It's a crazy bus, not a schmazy.
Yeah, and make it catchy. Like, I mean, how can you not like the Crazy Bus song? But you can see why Arthur doesn't like it, and you can see why you wouldn't like it in the situation. But at the same time, it's like, I mean, it's a good song. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, and it's funny because like a lot of the catchiest or like most annoying songs usually are just like, oh yeah, we weren't intending it to be like that. We just kind of wrote it, and then it was kind of like nobody. It's kind of like setting out to make an intentionally bad movie. Like there's going to be an element of like, I'm trying to think of the word, but there's a je ne sais quoi that is lost in trying to purposely recreate that, and I feel like that's the same way for like a song that's supposed to be catchy or like trying to create a meme, and there's an element that just has to naturally happen, and I'm so impressed that they were able to make something that's this annoying like while trying to.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah. Wow, I never really thought about it like that, but that is a great point.
I will also add, so the part that we don't hear in the episodes with Crazy Bus is there's this weird bit in the middle after, the choruses, which everybody knows. There's this where this guy's kind of like low talking. He's like, a flat tire is no problem. Because it's only flat on the bottom. A flat tire is not. Like, it sounds like somebody trying to proposition me over the phone. It's weird, and I don't like
strange.
it. It just doesn't fit with the rest of the song, and then it immediately goes into the wacky, gooey, goofy, spoony, all that kind of stuff. So
yeah, I don't know. It didn't make sense.
Kind of made me feel weird, but that's the way to end it off. Of course, the end of this album-long running joke about DW trying to get Crazy Bus on is that she finally does, and then Arthur finds out about it much too late, and yells for his mom, and that's the end of the very first Arthur album. So, Jordan, what were your overall impressions from this album?
Yeah, I thought that they did a great job of, using a bunch of different genres into one album to kind of make it a cohesive whole and just kind of represent the show in general. I thought was really well done, even if there were some songs that, not that I'm going to sit there and listen to them over and over again. But yeah, overall, I just thought it was really, really good.
This was a complete slice of nostalgia for me, and I'm really glad that we were able to talk about it. Like I said, I listened to this tape dozens and dozens of times. That's why I'm able to remember so many of these lyrics. Like, I'm not looking at a lyric site to remember these. These are all straight from my memory, which is really sad because my memory is really bad for, like, things that matter, like people's birthdays and middle names. But, I can remember every lyric to Arthur versus the Piano, no problem. But it was such a big part of my Arthur fandom as a child, and I'm really glad that we were able to find enough of it. Like I said, there's some parts that like don't work. There's some songs I definitely don't ever want to hear again. But talking about it now, like I'm gonna go back and listen to a couple of these songs. I'm gonna see if maybe this is on iTunes and I can buy these track by track.
Yeah. I'm gonna try and learn the Ballad of Buster Baxter on the guitar and make something out of that. We will see.
Well, Jordan, I really hope you do, and I want to thank you again for joining me here for this special episode of ECL. Now, you're a happening dude. You've got a busy schedule. I'm very happy that you were able to join me. You are, of course, on YouTube and doing all kinds of other stuff, so please remind people where they can find you.
Yeah, I really appreciate it, man. I will come on anytime you want me to. I have a YouTube channel, basically just youtube.com/Jordan Taylor Videos. And I also have another YouTube channel, Blimey Cow, which is, it has more subscribers, but I'm active on both, very active on both. And, I have an album, called Long Drive, that's on iTunes, Amazon MP3, and, Google Play. So, I need to put that on Spotify. It's not on there yet, but, you can also go to our website, blimeycow.com, and through various links on there, you can listen to the album on blimeycow.com, like entirety of it. So if you wanted to go check it out without actually buying it, you can definitely go and do that. Twitter, Messi_Jordan. That's pretty much it.
Right on. And of course, Elwood City Limits is available through social media, Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr. You can email us, elwoodcitylimits@gmail.com. And you can find us on iTunes. We are on Google Play, and you can also find us elwoodcitylymits.libsyn.com. That's LIBSYN. And hopefully it won't be too long before we have another ECL Extra and before we have Jordan Taylor back on the show. And hopefully, again, won't be too long before we hear that Ballad of Buster Baxter.
Man, I will try my hardest.
All right, my man. Thanks a lot for joining me once again. That's Jordan Taylor, everybody. My name's Will Young. Thanks for listening to this episode of ECL Extra. Have a great week.